What's up, everybody? This is Jesse and Justin, and we're here for the inaugural episode of Super Talk. We do a show every Thursday night that is very structured and very fun, but we thought it might be nice to do something much more laid back and casual, shoot from the hip. Invite everybody to join us too. Our Thursday show has a closed panel, plus we have special creator guests on with us. This show is for everybody, so you can come and join us, come and hang out. Tell us about your channel, what you got coming up, anything you really want. So this is going to be open mic style, run it for maybe an hour, depending on how it goes. And we will be doing this here on this channel every Saturday, every other Saturday. So if you can't join us tonight, or if you just want to hang out in the chat and see how it goes, every other week, like I said, we'll be doing it. So you can, join us. That way. I do have the link to join through Google Hangouts in the description for the video. So that's where you can find that. And this should be fun. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for the community to kind of have something like this once again. It used to be years ago, very, very casual, laid back show that was open to like 10 spots. And those were a lot of fun, a lot of good memories there. And I know a lot of people met other YouTubers through that. Other shows grew from that, which is pretty cool. So kind of bringing that back to the community, and I hope that people like that. I think that's a good thing. So like I said, just that's in there, but I'll go ahead and put it in the thing here. And I see Jason Smith is there as well. So
how's it going?
Cool. I'm going to go ahead and shoot the link out if you want to take over.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right.
This is always fun. Like just being able to, a random unstructured show, like you talked about. Any topics that can come up are always fun. You never know what's gonna happen or how it kind of goes. So I know we didn't have any like real topics, but beforehand we just kind of mentioned like maybe books that we were looking to try to get before the end of the year. We're like the midway point of the year, almost at it, So like books that you would like to mark off your list if you made one or whatever before the end of the year. That one always comes down to like Daredevil and Thor books for me because I'm always chasing some of those, until I can complete it.
Right.
But
so, what's your strategy on those? Do you go more for like just any of the run, or do you hit up the keys first and then the fillers, or like what's your plan of attack for that?
Mainly, it's always been get the filler out of the way first.
Yeah,
because they're cheap now. You know what I'm saying? They could be cheaper, but they pretty much all hit like a bottom price where you can find them at $1 or less an issue, especially if you buy in a lot or something like that.
Right.
So that's kind of my strategy for that, and then to work my way to the keys or find them, at a deal as they kind of go. But as I've kind of completed, especially like the Daredevil run. Like, I mean, everything above issue 100, I pretty much have like all of it. I'm not just talking about volume 1. I'm talking about all of it.
Nice.
Too much Daredevil. So at this point, yeah, like the big one. I mean, of course, I have a slab of number 10, so I need 1 through 9. But the key for me is issue 3. So I want to get that before the end of the year if I can find a decent, like mid-grade copy. Not looking for anything crazy. Like a 5.5 would be awesome.
That's a good, especially for a book. What year did that come out? Like 19.
I was 63, 64. Did I lose you? Did you lock up, Jesse? I think.
Hello.
Okay, you're right. No, maybe you're not. It's okay. But yeah, that was, I mean, yeah. No?
I'm back.
Still not perfect, no.
Okay. It wouldn't be a live show without issues, right?
That's right, man. Technical difficulties, especially on the first issue or the first issue. This is the first issue, man.
That's first right. Collector's item.
It wouldn't be perfect or it wouldn't be right without, technical difficulties. We're actually playing that, everybody. So.
Yeah.
No.
So we want you to feel like it's a regular show by throwing in some tech issues.
Right. But the key on that one though is it's the first appearance of the owl. And I don't know why. That's just like always been one of my favorite Daredevil villains. For whatever reason, it's just like a weird villain, but he's pretty cool.
Yeah. You don't hear too much about him, you know. When was the last time they used him?
Oh man.
It's been a while.
During before Charles Soule was in Mark Waid's run. When he was in San Francisco during that weird year run where he was out there.
Okay. Was that when it was Chris Samney on art?
Yep. Chris Samney, Mark Waid.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was what, like 2010?
No. It wasn't that long ago. It was like 2013, 2014. I mean, that's still 4 years ago. You know?
Yeah.
So, Iron Galactus is here. How's it going, brother?
What's up, IG? Glad to have you with us. I see there's 5 viewers, so thanks for joining us. If you want to come on the show and talk with us, this is open mic night. NES just came in, so feel free to pop on and talk with us on the panel here. Always, anybody's welcome.
Word.
As long as you're reasonable, So I had my 2018 list. Most people did a want list for 2018, right? Mine was the one book. It's still on my list, but I had a personal thing happen. A couple of my pets passed within like 3 weeks of each other, and that really kind of derailed a lot of my collecting for a few weeks. Actually, I think we ended up skipping one of the shows, too, didn't we?
I think so.
Yeah. A lot of the money that I had saved up for that went towards expenses associated with that. You know what I mean? Medical bills and, but since then, I've kind of had a different change of tact, I guess. I still want that book, which is the Hulk 181, but I've been picking up some other stuff that's on my list, some of the lower hanging fruit that I've still wanted, and it's still been on my list, but it's kind of been a bit more, I guess you could say it's instant gratification,
right.
So to like pick up some things to cheer myself up, instead of saving up. So I've gotten a few different other books since then. Just did a back issue haul with some stuff in it. Pretty happy with what that came out with, like Silver Surfer, and I got the this book still got it right here. Whoops, the Muhammad Ali, the Treasury book, Superman. Really happy to find that one too. So things like that, and I'll probably continue that through the year. Picking up there's a couple more magic books that I want to get. There's an Adi Granoff cover, which is the one that they pulled for the statue, the Kotobukiya.
Oh yeah.
The Bashoju statue, which I have up there, but I don't have the cover art to go with it. I like when I get a statue, if it's pulled from a cover, I like to pair it up with the cover when I display it. So that one's on my list. I want to get that one.
What is that from, like her actual volume?
It's from Uncanny X-Men. I think it was number 20.
Okay.
Yeah, and I believe it was 2013 was that run.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I have the one for 19, which was a Campbell cover. And then Adi Granoff did the variant for the next issue.
Have you been able to? Do you have that? What is it? The Mystic Arcanum set yet?
I have 2 of them.
Okay, you're like me. I had 2, and then I finally found the other 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I have Magic, and I have who are the other ones in it? There was one that I found, and I just picked it up because it said Mystic Arcana. I do not have the Nico Minoru one, which is the one that, I want that one.
It's all right. So there's Magic, Black Knight, Scarlet
Witch. That's the one I have.
Sister Voodoo, or what is that girl's name?
Sister Grimm.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have the Scarlet Witch one and the Magic one.
Nice. I like the Black Knight one, and I just saw Toy Galaxy, they just did a video on the Black Knight Legends figure that's out now. I didn't even know that, so I got to go find.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Speaking of figures, I just saw Don Comic Book Junkie. His channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
He put up a Legends figure for X-23. that he said he picked up at like Target or something. It was a 6-inch Marvel Legends.
Yeah.
It looks pretty cool. He said there was a whole bunch of like the Deadpool ones and stuff, and there was only one of those. So
I have. Go ahead.
I see Captain Jank, Sweet Exorcist, Silver Age Dave is here too. So thanks for joining us. And he says, did anybody else watch the live feed for the ISS rocket launch? Well, that's pretty cool. I didn't see that. Where was that? Houston? Or was that out of Florida? So maybe I could go outside and look at the trail.
All right.
Because when they launch from Cape Canaveral, I'm too far to see like the actual launch, but I can see the smoke trail in the sky when it goes up. It's just right over. It's pretty cool.
Floating that way.
Yeah, I've seen some of I think it was SpaceX who did a couple of the rocket launches. Those are pretty cool. Oh, Russia. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna see that.
I saw them earlier. They were like fueling it or whatever, but I didn't actually get to watch it.
Nice. Cool. So yeah, so guys, feel free to come on the panel with us here if you want to join us, Dave or Captain Janks or Silver. So, hey, Amir says love from Sweden. Love right back at you, my friend. So, something I did something recently, and I'll run it by you. Just kind of like feedback, I guess. I'm glad I did this, but at the same time, I still feel a little bit guilty about it. So, I had commissioned an artist back in like I want to say October to do a sketch for me. Local artist. He had done one, which I have over there. It's Gwenpool. She's kind of like got her sword out and she's posed. So I said, hey, what would be cool is a picture of Magic with her sword and kind of like make it like a mirror image. So the two covers are together. Yeah. So that was my idea for it. And, you know, typical turnaround time for that and stuff. So a couple months had gone along. And I periodically would check in and say, hey, you know, what's going on? You know, and I saw him at 2 different conventions, you know, just saying, hey, what's going on? 3, maybe 4 times he told me, oh, it'll be done by next Tuesday. It'll be done by next Tuesday, I swear. And
it's always next Tuesday.
Exactly. I would wait, you know, patience. I'm a very patient person, and I understand sometimes the commissions can take 6 months. You know, I know people wait a year or whatever. And then I reached out a few months, maybe a month and a half ago, and said, hey, you know, I know a couple of times you told me next Tuesday. I understand you're probably busy. Wanted to see what's going on. And there was no response. So I waited and no response. So I filed for a, you know, like I put a claim through my credit card and I got the money back. And so it was October to, I guess, May when I got the money back, which isn't a terribly long time. But for me, when the communication fell off, that's when the deal kind of like fell through. If he had continued to not just say next Tuesday or just communicate back to me, I would have been much more willing to wait. And I understand. So I'm happy I did that because I feel like I, you know, got my money back. Maybe I was just being kind of strung along. But at the same time, I feel a little bit guilty because I know how, you know, with the local artists, sometimes it can be a bit of a struggle, you know. But I don't know. What do you think, kind of based on what I said? Do you think I did the right thing, or would you have done something differently?
I mean, no, especially like you said, once the communication is broken down and, you know, like you said, you've gone almost 7 months or so before you tried to take any action or anything like that. So, yeah, I'd been with you. Yeah. But, you know, depending upon, you know, maybe the factor in like how much money it was or something, you know. It sounds like if it's a commission, you know, it's not cheap. So,
yeah, I mean, as far as commissions go, it was a pretty reasonable price. So, yeah, but you know,
but no, I'd have done the same thing. So I'm okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
you did the right thing. I mean, have you heard anything since then whatsoever?
No.
All right, yeah, then whatever.
Exactly. Nothing.
What can you do?
Yeah. So that's the kind of the first time I've really had to go that route. All of the artists that I've talked to and, you know, communicated with, they're very communicative, very responsive. And even if they're busy, well, they'll let you know, but if not, you know, a month or two at the most, and you get it back. So this is the first time I've really had that type of a negative experience. So, well, you made me feel better. Then I'm glad I did the right thing. So, oh shit! You see any? Did you see Cloak and Dagger?
No, I did
The
not.
show?
Watch that yet. No, I did not. What, did you watch it?
No, my freaking Comcast is down. Which
What?
obviously that's who I run my cable through, and it's been down for a couple days.
Wow.
So, yeah, I haven't been able to watch it.
Couple days. That's insane.
I got a person coming out. It was down in the area, and then I guess you know, it got fixed in the area, but mine is still down. So they think it might be one of the cables out back.
Something got cut or something weird.
Yeah, and it's the rain. It's been really bad with the rain and stuff too. So, the good thing is I got a you know, a little bit of a discount on the couple days without the service. So,
nice.
So Sweet Exorcist says he shouldn't have taken the money in exchange for goods. Don't feel bad. In fact, he should be happy you're a cool guy and didn't sue him. Yeah, you know, I've definitely seen some of these situations with other people, and they've, you know, kind of like berated the artist and, you know, F-bomb this, F-bomb that, you know, all over social media, you know. Yeah. I'm not gonna do that to somebody else. It was really bad. So I figured, you know, did this, made my claim, got my money back. I'm done. You know, move on. So Silver says a couple days. That's insanity. Yeah, man, a couple days. I'm like, you know, I don't realize how much movies and TV I watch until I don't have it. It's kind of like, oh god. But I guess it's on the app. Is it the Freeform app? That would be what the one, or the ABC app? I guess.
I don't even know.
I have to watch it through my phone then, which is funny because my internet goes through Comcast too. So I had to use my phone as a hotspot, and that's how we're able to broadcast right now.
Nice.
So it's surprisingly going well considering it's a hotspot through my phone. So, you know.
You must be near a receiver or something.
Yeah.
Must be one right outside your place.
Sweet Exorcist says it's on Freeform. So awesome. That's where you can see it. Yeah, Cloak and Dagger. I'll check that out afterwards. I'll have to download the app, I guess. So it's pretty cool. Episode 1. Jason missed episode 1. I guess it was like a 2-hour episode from what I hear. I did have it going to my DVR. I don't think it will still record. I think when the Comcast is down or the service is down, that nothing goes to the DVR, even though it's sort of remote, right? So I may have to figure something else out.
Maybe.
Something else. Yeah. I finally opened up these little things here. You ever see those little figures of metal ones? You ever seen those? They're like, here, I'll show you what they're.
Like Superman and Batman and Supergirl?
Yeah, I got the Wonder Woman one, actually. These ones,
Target?
they're from Justice League.
Oh, no, those are way bigger than the ones I was thinking
and
about.
they're really heavy. So I got this one. I had them in the boxes. I finally opened it up. So it's the Batman one.
Nice.
And then I got, here, let me show you the other ones. Whoops. All right, so this is, this one rotates. This is Superman.
Crazy looking eyes there.
With no red trunks.
New 52.
That's right. And this one rotates. The other ones don't. So you can do this with it.
With awesome swivel action.
Oh, no, I like that. Actually, they all do. Except her, because she's got her little lasso thing on. Wonder Woman. But, dang, these things are really heavy. So those were in the box. I went through a thing, and I'm like, you know what? I need to free these from the box. Put them out.
That's right.
These are never going to...
From the cardboard oppression.
Exactly. And I figured, like, this will never, like, increase in value. You know what I mean? So it's not like it needs to be mint on card, you know?
Yeah.
So.
I'm with you.
Crazy eyes on that guy.
I have random...
Batfleck.
I know, right?
Jason Smith says he has the Batman from Dawn of Justice. Cool. So if your DVR is cloud-based, it may have recorded. Okay. Here's hoping. I think it is cloud-based. I think, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, because there's supposed to be a thing like even if your DVR's off, that you still would record it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you should be good.
Hopefully.
And if not, then you'll be able to watch it on demand once it comes back.
Yeah, exactly. Or I could just wait till next week and just do like a 3-hour marathon session.
Yeah. Or like you said. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't really watched any reviews or heard anybody say anything too much about it. So
yeah. I know that Kat Kamakuno put up a review of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sort of like Jay. Comic Book Theater, JL.
Yeah.
You know, Philly Superman.
Yep.
He doesn't like to watch the reviews until he's actually seen it himself. I guess he feels like the reviewers might influence his experience with it.
Oh yeah, no, I can understand that completely. I can understand that. Like I had no real plan to watch it. So I would need to watch something and someone would have to convince me to watch it. So I'll just wait. I'll just wait for your review.
Okay, fair enough. And yeah, you know, for the normal, like the casual watcher or whatever, then reviews are fantastic. But if you're a reviewer yourself, then you don't want that extra, you know, influence there, you know.
Right.
So that's why I get what he's saying, and I take that approach. But like for normal people, like I said, I think reviews are fantastic. Find someone you
normal people.
Yeah. Not the shills and the ones bought out by the studio.
Indeed. For us, for we're you. No,
that's right.
Oh man, I have a Green Lantern shirt on and I have a Green Lantern ring. What? I'm totally Green Lantern.
You have the power.
Glow, damn it. Glow. It's not glowing.
I saw a trailer for a new Robin Hood movie. Did you see that with the kid from Kingsman?
I have not seen that yet. No.
Okay. It looks very different than any of the other Robin Hoods, but he's got on like a hood and he like dives around and like shoots 2 or 3 arrows at a time at things.
So he's like American Ninja Warrior.
It was very much like a Green Arrow type of show. Kind of like that. Yeah. Take off like and like still in the air and shoot someone else with another arrow.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw it, I was thinking of like, and then he said something about like who's under the hood or something like that. I'm like, oh shit, is this gonna be a unannounced Green Arrow movie? That's what it seemed like, but it's Robin Hood.
Let's see. Sweet Exorcist asked, how up to date are you guys on DC Rebirth, and if so, which books?
You up to date?
Are you reading any current DC Rebirth books? Or I mean, I guess Rebirth would just be all of DC books right now.
Yeah, because we kind of moved past like exactly. The whole banner's gone now. So yeah, I haven't read the new Justice League book yet, but I did read No Justice.
Yep, I read that.
And you know, some of the other stuff. On the titles that I am reading, like Batman and stuff like that, I am up to date.
Right, yeah. Batman's always, a definite pickup for me. This week, like
Especially those B covers, man.
Right, man. Yeah, that's what I got this week. But and then, just randomly, I'll try stuff that I've perhaps dropped at some point or whatever with DC. Like I said, this week I did a review of Green Arrow 41 and wrote a review on it, as we both wrote reviews over on Comic Frontline. So everybody check that out. And that was a major shock. I actually read it thinking that I probably wasn't going to like it, just because I knew I was going to write a review on it. Turned out to be like one of the best, like, just opening story arc books I've read in a long time. And it just, the voice of Green Arrow, like from the animated series, was totally in my head the whole way through it.
Yeah.
So the writer did a great job of like capturing that character, I think.
Nice. Since we're talking about green people and being surprised, the book that I reviewed, jumping over to Marvel, it was Immortal Hulk #1.
Nice.
Went into it kind of like just expecting not much, you know, just I'm gonna read it just because it's, you know, check it out. Never been like a huge Hulk fan, but let me tell you, this book was really good. It really surprised me. It was like dark and moody and atmospheric, and like the Hulk himself was this pretty frightening, imposing character, and it's definitely got a dark horror spin to it, which coming from like the Cho stuff, you know, it's definitely a step in a different direction and back to like that core of like, you know, him actually being a monster. So pretty cool. And happily surprised at how good it was. That's Al Ewing on that book. I remember we talked about it on Thursday. He's really good.
Yeah. I need to read that one, you know, because like you said, I've really enjoyed Al Ewing. I mean, on Ultimates 2, that was awesome. Then he jumped over and was doing Royals, which, I mean, you really have to do a great job on a book for me to enjoy an inhuman story, you know? So that one, you know, through the end of that, it was at least a good story, and it wasn't as mired in being an Inhumans book as it was like, this is just an adventure that they're on, you know? Pretty cool. So yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out.
Exactly. Yeah, I see Chris. Is he here? Are you there, Chris?
He's trying. He'll be here soon.
Oh, okay. I see his guy there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, Comic Boys is here with us as well. He says gun casings found from a revolver bothered him. It means the shooter should have used a Glock or something. So I'm talking about that book. Yeah.
And what?
I see what you in there. So in the ends up with this guy, and he goes into a convenience store to rob it. He's got a gun with him. There's a girl in there. She's like a little 12-year-old girl, and then Bruce Banner is there as well. Just like, you know, like a 7-Eleven or whatever. Ends up shooting them. Shoots Bruce in the head. Shoots the girl. Shoots the guy at the counter. Turns out he's just kind of like not working for. He's trying to raise money because he owes a biker gang money. So I guess it's like a gang controlled apartment complex that he lives in or whatever. And he's just trying to make the money to pay them back. They pay his rent, and we don't know the whole backstory there yet, but that we kind of like, we saw him go in to like their gang hangout to give the money. And that's when, you know, Hulk shows up, and I won't spoil it, but that whole scene there when he was shooting is what he was talking about.
I got you.
Yeah.
Are you talking about like a book? Or is that like real life? Because
that, believe it or not, that's the first part of Immortal Hulk #1.
Oh, all right. I was about to say, because I mean, and not to try to sit there and be like, oh, like doom and gloom and da-da-da. When I used to live in Arizona, there was one of the apartment complexes that a lot of the guys that were in my class lived in. What was similar to that, like there was you know, there was a lot of drug dealers and stuff that lived in that complex, and what happened was there was plainclothes cops and stuff there. So like, I remember the realty company that worked for the school for the housing was like, we're gonna move you to 201 West or 210 West, 201 West, and that dude came in this class. He's like, yeah, dude, some dude got shot. There was a drug beef and all the rest of it. He's like, oh, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you just live here, right? And he's like, dude, it's crazy over here. He's like, honestly, half of it's controlled by these drug dealers over here, and the other half, some of the gang. I was like, so then when they're like, we're gonna move you over, they're like, no, you're not. Wow. Nothing like that. Not me. So
I'm not doing that.
That just brought back all kinds of memories. I was like, oh man. But I haven't had a chance to read through the whole thing. I mean, I flipped through it, but I didn't read much of the story. I was just like, I just caught the horror vibe that was, you know, attached to it. So it looks like a fun book. Like I want to go ahead and get it, but I didn't have room for it on my you know, pull for this week or anything. So maybe next week slide it in there somewhere. But oh man.
Yeah, it's a good read. So nice to see. We were talking earlier about our books on the horizon, so to speak. Like, you know, where you are with your collecting for 2018, and you know, we're about halfway through the year now. Like, what's the second part going to look like for you? And is any like specific books you're gonna target? You know, are you still going for the same want list that you started with, or has that evolved for you? So that's probably like 4 questions.
That's a good question. Honestly, I feel like a lot of that changes throughout the year. Like I tend to try to see if I can stick with it. And a lot of the trouble that comes across being a collector is that you see other books at good deals, and it's just like, you know, it takes a lot of self-control to be like, all right, look, I got one big book that I want to buy. It's expensive. I know it's expensive. I should save up my money and get it when I get a chance. But these other ones fill up a room that I'm looking to get done, and you know, they're like $5 a piece, and I can get them all right now. And it's just, it's tough. Like honestly, a lot of times too, you have to refocus, and especially if, let's say, all right, my list. I'll give you an example. Like one of the books on my list is Star Wars 42, which is the first Boba Fett. Well, the first in the actual comic, and you know, movie announcement like, oh, like this guy's they're in talks about this, and it hasn't jumped too much, but it's definitely gone up from the announcement, and so it's just like you kind of have to, you know, I guess either curtail it or try to see if you can get a score deal real quick. And sometimes it happens. Like you're looking for a book, and all of a sudden, movie announcement comes out. This is what's going on, and it just overnight jumps up. Like I don't know why anybody would have wanted to get the first, you know, Normie Osborn. Like if anyone's like, I really need that Amazing Spider-Man 263, I have to get it. That's on my list. And then Red Goblin comes through and like, oh, guess what? This is what's happening. This is the character that's going to be attached to. It's just like you watch that book overnight go from 50 cents to like, you know, something like $20. It's just like, what, you know, and if that was one of the ones that you were hoping to pick up, you know, real quick and easy, it's just like, now you got to go back and, you know, figure out like what's going on and redo your list. So I know for me, the first year I did that, I had to like kind of reevaluate, because I was just like, you know, the books I want, and I way overshot, because I was like, want to get Jimmy Olsen 134 and was it Inhumans #1, and that's when like everything was like hot for those books, and I was just like, I can't even come close to touching those. This is like it's too expensive. So this year I've done okay. I think that right now I have 6 out of 10.
Good.
The 2 toughest for me to get, actually I should say 3. But I kind of said I made an or on the G.I. Joe 155. So it was either that or the special. So I'm just like, I'll take the special for now. And if I happen to sneak in that 155, good. But Avengers #8 and Next Men 21, very tough. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick those up. I think those might be put to another list of like, you know, Grail books that I want to one day have. Because I think that's a good one to have too. Just like for a lot of people who, I don't think anyone really gets discouraged with. Some people are like, yeah, man, I wish I can complete my list, but it's too tough. It's just like, just make a Grail list and then just, you know, cross them up as you go. That's a little easier than trying to, you know, stuff it all into a year, because it's just like, don't take out a loan and be like, I have to show everybody on YouTube that I can do this. Like, no.
Yeah, don't do that.
Just switch up your list. It's your list. Change it if you have to. Like, you know what? Got a bunch of 50-cent books that I'm putting for my top 10 for this year, you know? Just to
like,
kind of fill it out.
Here's this great big book. The bank still owns it, but here it is.
Exactly, yeah. You know, I'm going to be living in my car for the next, you know, whatever. But you know what? Iron Man 55, kids. It's like, no.
Don't do that.
No need for that. Like there's as much as as much as we love comics and everything like that, it's just, you know, there's life comes first. You gotta keep that in mind. But I will say that, you know, having a top 10 list, at least for me, I find it to be more fun. I think that it's just a good way to kind of focus on your collecting. And it's just fun. If these books come up at a good deal, great. But I know for me, I just kind of scour and look. And so I think at certain points, it'd be better to have a little bit of self-control. But at other times, too, it's just like when I think about it, and if I see a book that's like, all right, like I remember I got Voltron #1. And I was like, going to put it on my list for this year, but I picked it up last year just because it happened to have an auction that was, you know, people either weren't bidding on it or it was just, you know, my lucky day, I guess. I don't know. So I picked it up for cheap, and I was like, all right, perfect. So I don't have to put that on my list. And, you know, the list always changes. That's the one thing I can say. So just have fun with it. That's all. I mean, where are you guys at? Like, how are you guys doing with yours?
Well, it's funny you talked about self-control. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you have. I'm sure I'm not alone with this, but have you ever like just felt like you want to just go to the shop just to spend some money on some books? Like you don't have book in mind or like know what they just got in or whatever. You just want to go and look and bring something home, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
So,
That's why I'm so thankful that there's a Second and Charles close by that has like 50-cent dollar books.
that's perfect.
What's fun with that too is like sometimes actually I find that happens from time to time where it's like just going to get some supplies, need some bags and boards, maybe a short box or two, and all of a sudden it's just like, oh, I got like 5 or 6 books to go along with the short box. All right, cool.
There's always some excuse.
I feel like Jesse has
to
to
hit up
type
the
of
shop.
story to go along with this lack of self-control. So
No, just sometimes I just have this. I'm just in a mood where I just want to go and do some digging.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of times, like especially on the weekend, if nothing's going on or something, I want to like swing by my shop and just check out the books they have behind the counter because they always change out that stack of just like recent collection purchases they've had or whatever. Because right now they have a Daredevil #7.
Ooh,
but it's not in the best of shape, and somebody used the hole punch on the cover.
oh
God.
So, yeah, it's like even if it was really cheap, it's still just not the one I want. You know what I'm saying?
Right. There's the book, great book, but all you would see is that hole in it.
Yeah. Because that's all I would stare at. You know what I'm saying? It's right in the center of the dang cover.
Really? The center?
Do that.
I could see the top corner or something, like if they wanted to, God, no, we would never do this, but if they wanted to hang it on the wall or something, but right in the center, man.
It's like right above somebody's head.
Man.
I think that I think I don't know. I mean, that's definitely cringeworthy seeing something like that. I don't know if that's worse than because when you say 3-hole punch, I think of things that I've seen people with videos of like binders of comics, and that just like scares me.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that's just you just asking for trouble, and it's just like I mean, thankfully most of the people that have it like that, it just isn't gonna get a binder. Oh no.
So are you talking about like the 3-ring binders?
Money, but
look at
Are
that.
you talking about binding itself?
oh no, I'm talking about just what Justin has right there.
Okay.
Death. I think this is the original Death series, Vertigo. Neil Gaiman's Death, 1 through 3.
Nice.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, they're in there like solidly, and then they're like Trade and Death to High, like the time of your life. Yeah.
So you don't get nervous keeping your books. I mean, it looks like you have them in a good stack, so that's not a problem. But like, you don't get nervous throwing them in there like that. Like, just put them in and hope for the best.
These books have just always been in this. I mean, they're in good shape. So,
I don't know. I saw a video and I was like, I mean, the dude was just like, oh, and I got this, and it was like kind of like not secure, so they're kind of like shaking around. I'm like, that's not good, not at all. and everybody in the comments is just sitting there giving him trouble, like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
These are actually all in sealed individual sleeves with full boards and everything, so they don't move. They're Ultra Pro or whatever. So I don't know. Like I said, I bought it like this, so I was like, whatever.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's cool.
I just looked at it and I've never seen it. I know for myself, it's just kind of like, oh, like I wouldn't do it. Like I can't. Like I just get nervous that the 3-ring is gonna end up making a dent or messing something up.
No, I'm with you. I mean, I haven't put any more in anything like that.
Yeah, I think I might have one somewhere back here. Let me look. The other thing, you mentioned binding, like binders. There's another thing that people do is they'll get a few books together and they'll bind the books themselves. Like they'll make their own collected edition. Hey, Jared, how you doing?
How are you doing today?
Good.
Talk about binders, and I had to pop in and show you this.
What is it?
Got it at a garage sale in the early 80s.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. The 3-hole punch.
3-hole punch.
Somebody took some tape, reinforced it, on the front and back, 3-hole punched it all the way through.
You know what that is, though? That's some kid that wanted to read his book in class, and like his teachers and stuff were just like, stop reading comics at your desk. And he's just like, I'm reading a book.
This is how collectors used to sometimes keep their comics.
Yeah.
I actually have. I think I got maybe at that garage sale, I got about like 12 or 15 of them. Probably half of them were X-Men and like 4 or 5 Silver Surfers.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So, all with holes in them. Doesn't mess up reading the story. I loved it when I was 15. I mean,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
there was no other. I had no other chance to read these in the early 80s or before there was comic shops everywhere and reprint editions.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, I look at that and I'm just thinking of like, I think of just kids in class, just, all right, how do I get by? Like, no, I'm doing the assignment. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah.
I think it was full-grown adults who did it this way.
It could have been just like, are you doing your work? Of course I am. I have the report to you in an hour.
Too. This is that Scotch Magic tape, the green stuff. Because even after what year did this come out? 1960 something. That tape, 69. This tape is still on there. I mean, most tape would brown and fall off.
It would be all yellowed and brown and brittle by now.
Oh, looks like they reinforced the first page too. So that's got.
Oh wow.
This was a great garage sale score back in the day.
Wow.
I had never seen the Neil Adams X-Men before.
Nice.
But you got to keep in mind.
I
don't know when I got these. 1981, let's guess. Maybe a little earlier than that, because I was buying the Byrne and Claremont X-Men off the racks and loving it.
Such good stuff. Yeah.
Which was the late 70s. And I had only heard of these. Like I said, there was no place to go to get comics in those days.
Mm.
So it was like garage sales where we find old comics at a garage sale, and it was like, ooh, the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. Yep. Score. Yeah, that's what you had to do back then. Is go to the other towns and look for the garage sales. Hope they might have a comic shop. You couldn't pop on eBay or YouTube and look for an auction. You had to scour the streets for sales and deals. And
I wish I had thought of who is it? Mr. White Gloves, the YouTuber.
Yeah.
He told me a story once about how when he was a kid, he used to go and collect cans and get the nickels and then go to the post office and get money orders so he could order stuff from Mile High Comics.
Oh,
that's like in the late 70s.
That's like entrepreneurial, though.
I was like, first of all, there were no nickel cans in the late 70s in New York, so that was out of the question. But I never knew anything about postal money orders, so I was like, oh, what an idea, for a 10 or 12-year-old to have.
Yeah, that's pretty smart.
Yeah.
So there may be another version of that happening pretty soon. So I don't know if you heard, but GameStop, the video game store, is going to be selling new comic books. So you'll be able to order new comics from them. So I think what people might do, and I've had this idea also, is go to some yard sales or thrift stores or whatever, and look for some old cartridges and bring them in and trade them in and see what they can get for them. Probably be a quarter or a nickel too, but
trading nickels
has kind of gone ahead and they hopped on that nostalgia kick again, and it was just like. Because I remember for a long time, they were just like, if you have like old Nintendo games, we don't want those. And then they're just, seeing that, people are selling them and like on eBay and getting money. And then there's all these different shops opening up that are specializing just the really old games and stuff. It's just like, oh no, we'll take those too. Like we can sell those. That's easy. So yeah, why not? It's just like, if you can sit there and get a bunch of credit and then pop it over to some comics, why not?
Yeah.
Save some money. And then just, especially if you're getting them dirt cheap from like a yard sale or something like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris is a big G.I. Joe guy. He's collecting that. I remember, Jared, you telling a story about one particular issue where I think it was Cobra Commander in one of the first. You know where I'm going with it, right?
Yes.
He knows the one. Yeah.
I love that he knows exactly where it is. It's like, all right.
Yep. I didn't have to say anything more than I knew what I was talking about. Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
G.I. Joe 119.
There it is. Yep. That's the one.
This was the one I was working at Marvel at the time, doing the paste ups, which means the letterers used to do their when the deadline was tight and people were behind, which was all the time. You know, the letterer. Ideally, the work goes from the penciler. The writer writes a plot, would give it to the penciler. He'd pencil it. It would go to the letterer. The letterer would letter it, and then it would go to the inker. But in order to save time, they'd send it to the letterer and the inker at the same time. So they'd make photocopies and send those to the letterer. And the letterer would take a tracing paper and put it over top and letter on the tracing paper. Then it was our job in the bullpen to get those tracings, white out the back, and then glue them down. And one day I was sitting there. This is G.I. Joe 119. And I was pasting it up. And I noticed this little tiny guy down there who now has a spotlight on him.
Yep.
There he is.
Who Cobra Commander, who looked like he was giving the finger.
Yep.
I was like, huh? And I was like, well, I'm not going to say anything. Let's see if anybody notices. And this is actually written, drawn, and colored by Herb Trimpe.
Nice.
So when I remember, no one else had, Bobby Chase, I think, was the editor on it. She, no one noticed. And then like I said, when I got it back, I laughed so hard, especially since he put a spotlight on the Cobra Commander giving the finger. And then on in, we called that the secret Cobra salute.
That's perfect. Yeah. You think maybe like slip a character in the background or something like that, blend it in. But no, this guy's right there on the pier with a spotlight on him,
He was really small, though, really small. So that's why no one noticed him. So, but I always found that funny. I guess Herb was disgruntled.
For kids and there's nothing, it's for kids. You don't think of it. And all of a sudden he's just like, nope, there he is flipping the bird to G.I. Joe, oh man, that's the fun stuff right there. Like that's one of the coolest Easter eggs that pop up in comics from time to time.
Go find your copy of G.I. Joe 19 and take a look at Cobra Commander on the splash page.
Yeah, I have that book, so I can go grab it and check it out. Yeah, the Cobra salute. That's funny, man.
See if you ever noticed it before. Like I said, I probably no one even reading it. Who knows who noticed it? But like I said, because I had the original art I was working on, I was like, huh?
Yeah, so you had the big full page, right? Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. So what else you got going on? I see you putting up a lot of art on Instagram.
Yeah,
great stuff.
I've been using Instagram to show off my art mostly. What I've been working on? I was working on a pop art Batman sketch cover. What I do sometimes now, with matter of fact, I get old comics or ones I have lying around. Let me see, where's that one? Here's one. I just did one of my. This is my drawings of. I don't even like Batman, but I like drawing Batman.
Nice.
That's one of my bucket heads. But what I do is I make my own sketch covers. So this is Detective 801.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
That I get Bristol board and I print up the logo and everything, and I draw them. Here's one. So I draw it flat, and then I cut it up and make my own sketch covers. Just kind of, don't have a sketch cover lying around. You can make it. I actually pull the staples, and then pull holes in the board and put the staples back through.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So that's one thing I've been working on lately.
Nice.
Oh, here's that. Here's the finished version of that.
They're bidding on your books in the chat, by the way. They want to buy those. This is not an auction, guys.
Man, I like that.
Well, I sell them on Etsy. That's my pop art Batman. That's the. Matter of fact, this is the. Sometimes I just do them on paper too. That's the finished version.
Wow.
Nice.
This one I actually messed up. It's real annoying. I stopped that one and restarted. Then I messed up putting it on the scale. That one was gonna go on this one, but it somehow didn't get the right size paper. So now I'm gonna have to do it a third time.
Oh, third time's a charm. Right? Know what they say.
Yeah. But if anybody ever wants to see my art too, I've put all sorts of stuff on Instagram, and I have an Etsy that I like. One other thing I like doing are my faux comic book covers.
Oh, nice. That's really cool.
Nice.
So I made my own. I don't know if you've ever seen original art paper that like Marvel and DC use, but this is like a copy of it, except Radiant Comics is the name of my website, radiantcomics.com. So if you were to see an original Marvel art board, the board would look like this, except it would say Marvel Comics up there. So what I do is I copied that, I made that all digitally, and then I print out, as you can see down here, it says like, title, number, month, schedule, artist. That's all the stuff that's on real original art that Marvel used to use on their board.
Yeah.
Back before everything was digital.
It says Marvel, a little tiny Marvel right there.
Oh, that's the interior pages. Yeah.
Yeah.
The cover board is slightly different than the interior board, but the cover board actually usually has like a black line there around it, and the interior boards only have blue lines.
Okay. For like the bleed edge and stuff.
Right. Bleed trim.
Yeah. I have that interior that I got from Brian B from a Thor book back there too. So it's awesome to see it and look at it, because you have like you said, the notes up at the top and stuff at the bottom and stuff. So it's just really cool to see the process, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Did you see that cover that Jimmy C got?
Oh no.
He bought the original art from Peter Panzerfaust #1.
Oh wow.
The image book.
Yeah.
Wow.
To check out his channel. He was just showing it off today. I was like, whoa.
Wow. Yeah, he's a big original art collector. He's got some really great pieces.
Yeah, I just did a job for him where I restored the Silver Surfer logo on a piece of original art he got. He bought the original art to the cover of Silver Surfer 39, I think it was, from the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it had
Thanos on the cover.
What happens is once again, like I said, when I do this, I put the logos right on the board. I print out the logos before I do the artwork. But when it was done back in the day, for real at Marvel, we used to the logos were all photostats. So you would get the original art, you get a photostat, which is basically like a photocopy, but on photographic paper. So it's a rugged paper. And what's happened sometimes is the logos, being that they're only rubber cemented down, fall off and get lost over time. Or else in the case of his Silver Surfer cover, the whole logo was done on a sheet of acetate, which is a clear plastic. And we usually would tape the acetate to the page, but like over time, whoever had this original art originally threw out the acetate with the logos on it.
Oh no.
He got the original art, but he wanted the logos on it too. So I remade all the logos and put them on acetate for him.
Nice.
That looking really cool.
Wow. No, yeah, definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, Jimmy C.
Yeah.
His channel.
I've seen he bought I think it was Punisher 3 was one of the ones he got, the first microchip. And he's like me, like I like when I get like a page or a statue to pair it with the book that it was with, right? Whether it was the cover or it was something from the interior. And he did the same thing. He had like 7 or 8 of that where Punisher's being shot on the cover, the first microchip, and then he had the original art next to it. It's cool to see the stage, whether it was an ink piece or just like penciled or line art, versus the finished published piece. You know, and try to pick out all the differences.
Right.
Pretty cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I wish I'd kept more stuff from my Marvel days.
I'm sure he had quite a few things.
Oh, I had a few like just like photocopies of because we were always working over the photocopies of pencils and stuff due to the process I told you before. And I kept some of it, but you know, and that stuff you don't keep because it was just coming through all day, every day. So it's like you were constantly seeing, you know, like Jim Lee pencils, Rob Liefeld pencils, whoever it was back in the day, just their pencil work, which you don't get, you know, you didn't get to see anywhere back then. It wasn't like now where you can save the pen, scan in the pencils, and it was like, but I would have been but I have some of it buried in I'll have to show that all off in a video one day, just some random pencil photocopies of pencils.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people would like to see that.
Yeah.
Do you work with digital at all, or are you strictly?
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah. A matter of fact, I was Marvel digitized in I think it was 94. So I was among the last people to do it the old-fashioned paste-up way and the first people to do it digitally.
Oh well.
So I knew both when we had to figure it all out by the seat of our pants too.
Yeah, I'm sure being a pioneer there is kind of like learn as you go, right?
Oh, that's what it
On the
mostly
fly.
was because it didn't exist, and DC didn't digitize till years later.
Yeah, it's really opened the doors for so many people. I mean, you know, you could just use Dropbox and send them a file versus having to, you know, send it through the post office or really maybe be in the same studio together. You know, it's really opened up so many doors, not just for people, but just collaborations of people that maybe wouldn't have ever been able to.
Nowadays, you have to be digital. And like I said about, you know, you can save the pencils too. Now, you know, you can post, somebody can go up and get copies of pencils and like 1,000 people can ink the same piece.
Right.
Which they do on Twitter sometimes.
Oh yeah, that's how a lot of people who want to try to, you know, just color and stuff like that. Like if they have aspirations of being a colorist,
yeah,
go ahead and they'll just, you know, get the pencils with the inks on it, and then go ahead and or just get the straight pencils, and then they'll just go ahead and you know, color over it, ink it up, and then just kind of present it as like you know, one of those speed painting type videos where it's just like, all right, here's what I did, check this out, what do you guys think? And then, you know, it's a portfolio piece for somebody who wants to go ahead and do it, or you know, just something where you can show off your ability, and if somebody's looking maybe for an independent or whatever, you know, you just show them what you can do. Is like, yeah, check out this video, this is what I did. So it's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely opened up everything. I mean, it's made the world so much smaller when it comes to being able to work with people, and then just kind of going ahead and having just that you know, collaboration wherever you need to be, which is really cool, because it's just like, you know, at that point too, it helps with deadlines, where it's just like if you have somebody who's you know, who's on a different schedule than you know what I mean? It's just like, all right, you can go to bed, and then all of a sudden it's like, as you're waking up, this person, you know, you wake up to have this art or whatever it is right there and ready, and it's like, all right, cool. So, you know, and then just kind of speeds the process along. So I think it's really cool to see that that's the way that things are going.
No, it's funny too. There are people now. Who is it? There are people who are so digital they don't know how to draw on pencil and paper.
Yeah. that is funny, because in the game design industry, like so I went to school for video game design, and that's one of the things that like will end up sometimes disqualifying people, because you go to a studio and it's just like, okay, well, you know, when we go ahead and if you're going to be doing, you know, concept art or something, you need to be able to do it in a style that, you know, blends in with what we do. And it's like, so go ahead and, you know, just here's a paper, you know, we want you to draw these things now. Like, and, you know, they give you like an art test, we'll give you an hour, show us what you can do. And a lot of people will be like, well, can I just like email you the files tomorrow? I'm like, no. Yeah. Like you have to be able to sit there and do like what do you think is going to happen? Like we need to know that you can do it.
No Photoshop.
So a lot of people, because of the fact that, you know, you have, like you said, so digital, it's just like, you know, if they have to draw, you know, you can't undo, you can't go back.
Right.
If you're working digitally, you can go back as many times as you want. You just if you really make a mistake, just be okay. Look, gonna, you know, just go ahead and delete that file, reopen it from the scratch, and then start all over again. So
and you can photo reference,
or get a really good inker.
It was, I can't remember her name, the woman who does Rocket Girl. I can't remember her name. It was a couple of years ago. I was looking at her Tumblr, and she was talking about how she was taking the time out. And mind you, she'd already done comics. She'd already, you know, drawn comics and whatever. But she was learning to draw with a pencil because she couldn't draw at cons. Yeah. So she's like, I got to learn to draw with a pencil and ink. So she was specifically learning to draw with a pencil and ink so she could do sketches at cons because she was so digital.
Yeah.
She couldn't draw at a con. I was like, whoa.
That's crazy.
Amy Reeder?
Amy Reeder? Yeah, I think that was her.
Yeah.
Hopefully she learned to draw con sketches now. Because that was a couple of years ago. She was posting that. She was just showing her progress. So she was pretty good with a pencil too, pretty quickly. So,
yeah,
but
it'd be like
I found that being that I'm from the pre-digital age.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, these people when you go to a con and they want to sketch, it's like have you ever seen the sketches that Stan Lee did? It's like stick figures.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He's like, hey, this is why I'm a writer. But if you're already an artist, you should definitely know how to do that. So.
Yep.
Yeah. It was, I forget which studio it was, but there was like the publisher and the editor were in California. The person doing the penciling was in New York. The inker was in Michigan. And then the person doing the flatting and the coloring were like in Brazil or something like that. So it was like literally like all of the Americas. This thing traveled around to get completed. So it was pretty funny that we were talking about this day and age of the digital. It's pretty amazing that this thing went from the West Coast to the East Coast to South America.
Yeah, bounces all around.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's funny too. This made me think about back in the days of returning original art. If you know how there's a lot of I don't know how much you know about the history of comics or whatever, and especially behind the scenes. And there was an artist didn't get their original art back until the late 70s, I think it was.
Really?
Late 70s, early 80s. I can't remember exactly when, because Marvel and DC used to just keep the original art. DC even used to just destroy it.
Yeah.
They'd cut it up.
Marvel was storing it for a while because they were having money issues. They were like firing a bunch of artists and writers and saying, we're going to use all of our supply instead. I think that was Stan Lee's idea, actually.
Well, that was the 50s. That was... Yeah. They didn't return anything then, but I'm talking, when artists were like, "Hey, give me my original art back," because, and there was, all sorts of debate. Well, Marvel said, "Well, we bought this original art," and the artist said, "No, you don't," because in every other illustration industry, you return if Frank Frazetta paints a cover for Tor books, they're buying the reproduction rights. They don't get the original painting. But since comics were, cheap and disposable, and everybody originally thought of the art as cheap and disposable, that never happened in comics. But eventually, and even to this day, well, not to this day quite, but they even said, okay, we're returning this art to you as a gift. And like artists had to sign a paper saying something that Marvel's. So Marvel was still claiming and DC were still claiming they bought the art.
Wow.
When really they didn't.
Right.
And really it was just that. Well, first of all, once anybody has anything, it's tough to get it away from them. That's just humanity. That's just someone's got this something. I want that back. It's tough getting. You lend somebody a movie. Sometimes it's Blu-ray. It's tough getting the Blu-ray back from them. That's just humanity.
Oh yeah, I can't tell you how many times that's happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the real. But nowadays, I think that question has been answered in that Marvel and DC don't even want you to send them the original art anymore. Yeah, because it's too much trouble. It's all digital. It's like we don't send us the original art. Why would you do that? So it's funny. They went from when you had to send it to them, they weren't giving it back. No, they were like, no way, I'm not giving this back. To now, they're like, send it to us. Why would you do that? That just gives more work to us. So I find that funny that all the the arguments of the past are kind of settled now because the companies don't even want the original art. You know, if there was some way back then for them not to have the original art, they'd probably have done it back then too.
Right. Yeah, it's great for us.
Yeah.
I love going to the cons and going to the tables and cruising through. They always have the giant books with all their covers and pages that they've done. So it's pretty cool to stand there and look through it and then talk to the artist who did it and like, you know, say, hey, what were you thinking when you're on this page? Or, you know,
that's fun stuff.
Yeah. But if they kept the art, we'd never be able to do that.
One of the things I was, I mean, it's funny that you talk about the original art. I remember they were producing at one point a Charlton Comics documentary, and they had like Bob Layton and like just all these different people that had worked there throughout the years, and they were just like, you know, it was really cool, and I don't think it ever ended up coming out yet, because that was, I want to say it was 2 or 3 years ago at Boston Comic Con. They had kind of showed us like some snippets from it. And Bob Layton was talking about Charlton, and he was like, yeah, he's like, you know, they just really didn't care about the original art at all. So at times, like, they would use that, like, because, you know, they were based in Connecticut, and it would snow and everything. And it's like, so, you know, they would use that for people to, like, wipe their feet on, just because the fact is that, you know, they couldn't afford mats because it was, like, inside of an old bowling alley or something crazy like that.
Oh, how nuts
I mean, it was a really, really awesome story. And he's just, like, you know, telling us all this stuff, and it was just, like, you know, I mean, he's like hundreds and thousands of pages of original art, just people wiping their feet, just destroyed in an instant, just because at the time, like you said, it was thought of as disposable and cheap, and it wasn't a big deal. And I think the other really cool thing about that documentary was they were saying like how many people actually worked through Charlton way back in the day that you would have no idea about. It's just like, you know, like people would be under different names and stuff. It's like, you know, you had people that were just, you know, doing art, you know, on the side because they could. It's just like, you know, can you draw this book for me? Yeah, I'll draw this for you. Like, you do it under an assumed name and, you know, put it out. And it was crazy. Like, just to hear that, you know, the original art was just treated so badly, but they're just like, yeah, it was just normal. That's just how it was. Like, we sometimes they would get upset, like, oh, like I worked a long time on that, but you're just gonna, you know, throw it down to wipe your feet on. Like, yeah, it is what it is. We don't care about it.
Yeah, I said that Charlton just reminded me. I have 2 pages here. This is Golden Age art.
Oh wow.
That I got for dirt cheap about 10, 12 years ago on eBay.
Wow.
I'm told this is just some random. Who drew this? Gil Fox, was that his name?
Gil Fox.
What's the other picture? That just and it's even on like it's on an illustration board because you know comic book paper wasn't around in those days. And I got this for some. It was funny because
quality.
It wasn't in the comic art section, so like nobody bid on it. I got like 2 pages for like $60.
Wow.
That's
awesome. I mean, just looking at that, it was really cool just to see how clean those lines were and everything. It's just like, I mean, to think about back then, I mean, no digital, no nothing, just hand drawn. It's just like, that's why, like, when I look at cover swipes from back in those days, like, you know, you have cover swipes from, you know, the Silver Age and from the Golden Age and stuff. And it's just like, so that same guy had to redraw the exact same thing, just change 1 or 2 different things about it. I mean, it's just like, it blows my mind because just like they did not have the technology just to easily reproduce it as they do now. It's just like, you know, you want a cover swipe, that's simple. You know, but back then it's like, I mean, there was a lot of work to do a cover swipe back in, you know, 1955. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Looking at some of this Gil Fox stuff, he looks like he might have been one of the first cheesecake artists.
Poison Ivy by Gil Fox.
Yeah.
Feature May, page 50. I don't know what that says. But yeah, I just got this randomly off of eBay like 10, 12 years ago just because it was so cheap. I was like, oh, how can I pass up Golden Age artwork for a song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like he worked for Quality Comics.
Yeah, I think he was one of those guys who did lots of jobs here and there.
Yeah, freelance.
But he's not really that well known. But beautiful lettering, beautiful ink line.
Yeah,
the ink is as black as the day it was put down.
Wow, and like you said, you know, that that price for some Golden Age original art.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
Can't say no to that. Yeah. I see Stephen Oates in the chat. Hey, Stephen Oates, how you doing? Oh, got quite a few people chatting over there. They're talking about Jason Smith is talking about lawnmowers and weed eaters. Not sure where that came from, Jason, but you know,
I was mowing the lawn and eating some weeds just this afternoon. I know of what he speaks.
Yeah, I think he was eating mushrooms too.
Ah,
yeah, he's that type of guy. No, I'm just kidding. What else we got? Miss Hustle's there. So I say hi to Miss Hustle. And she's telling Jason he needs to get on Instagram. He needs to get trendy. So
here are the little tiny paintings I was just showing off on Instagram in 2005.
Oh, nice.
I think Art by Osborne is my Instagram name.
That sounds right.
Yeah, Miss Hustle earlier had commented on that she liked your table, that just because, you know, it's just the scale of it and everything, and just I was saying, you know, it's a legit table. It's like one of those old draftsman tables. So
oh yeah,
stuff right there.
The real deal.
Does it light? Does it have a light board part too?
There's no light, but it's not a light table. It's just a drafting table.
Okay.
You have a self-healing cutting mat on it.
Nice.
But it's at all. I work standing, so that's at standing height. My computer over here is at standing height, and my easel back there is at standing height.
Oh, nice.
I've been using standing desks my whole life.
They got the ones now where it's got hinges so it can raise and lower.
Right.
So if you want to sit, you can lower it down, and then if you want to stand, you just pull up on the sides.
I've got this drafting chair that goes up high, so if I want to sit,
there you go.
I usually. Whoop, there we go. But I mostly stand.
Yeah.
If I need to sit, it's in this
It's
one.
like director's chair height.
Sitting height.
Yeah.
That's cool stuff.
So what good comics has everyone read lately?
I have been, you know, reading the new Batman, and then Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, the whole, you know, Red Devil, Red Goblin story and everything like that. I Hate Fairyland because that's a great comic. And then Green Lanterns, big fan of that one as well. And then a lot of back issues too, because I've been picking up some back issue stuff. So I actually recently, I'd say the past 2 months, got Thanos Quest, and I've never owned it before, so I got a chance to read it pre-Infinity War, see how he got all the stones, and man, it's just like that's such a good read. Like both books are just nothing but like it's like heavyweight title fights every time. Like Thanos just goes up against somebody and just I mean. It's funny because like everybody who he goes to get a stone from, it's just like, do you know what you're getting yourself into? He's like, yeah, absolutely. He just starts pounding on him, and it's just like, and he beats them all, gets the stones. And I think the champion is my favorite part of the whole book. It's in the first book, but he's fighting the champion, and the champion's just like, you know what? I don't even want to fight you anymore. I had enough. Take the stone, get away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the coolest thing. But yeah, I was reading that, and then a couple of other just back issues that I picked up over the past couple months and everything. So
I'm a 70s Thanos guy. I didn't like the 80s and 90s Thanos.
No, that's what I was introduced really mostly to him was 90s Infinity Gauntlet and stuff like that. And then I'm trying to catch up with the older stuff. But I mean, a lot of that now, because of his popularity, because of movies, is getting kind of pricey, and so it's just like the good thing is that I got to read The True Believer, so I got to see his first appearance and everything, and trying to catch up with some of his earlier appearances, but they're not quite, they're not quite the cheapest books to get right now. No. So hopefully after Avengers Part 4, they come down a little bit more, and I'm like, all right, let me scoop all these because everybody's all Thanos'd out, and I can just continue on my collection. So.
Yeah, I was reading the Thanos stuff as a kid in the 70s. The Captain Marvel and the Adam Warlock.
Oh, yeah.
Though they were just before my time. I had a friend who was a couple of years older who was like, oh, you have to read these ones. So I was reading them. And it was really weird, too. Like I said, the the first Thanos story went all through Captain Marvel.
Hmm.
And then the second Thanos story went all through Warlock. And what was really strange is because in those days there really weren't a lot of long continued stories. It's not like now where everything's written for the trade, so there's story arcs and then it's collected, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So in those days, a lot of times when a story like got canceled prematurely, it just stopped, never to continue. That was just standard.
Yep. I remember a lot of that used to happen when I was as a kid growing up, in the 90s with the X-Men. Every time a creative team would take over, they would do their best to kind of erase what happened before and not add to it. And so it's just like, I mean, if you read Uncanny X-Men, I would say from like mid 90s to like early 2000, it gets real confusing because just like, you can tell exactly when a creative team changed and then all of a sudden just like stopped. And it's just like, okay, none of that happened at all. And this is what's happening now. And that's just like, all right, new creative team. Don't even remember any of that crap. We're going back to something that came back from the 80s and we're going to, reference that and then go with this from now on. It's just like,
in the 70s, that didn't even happen. If a book got canceled, that was just the end of the story. So it was a shock when, what was it, that Avengers Annual 6 or whatever it was in 1977, when all of a sudden the Thanos story continued. It was like, because the 70s Thanos stories started in Captain Marvel, then went into Warlock, and then ended in 2 annuals. Ended in the Avengers Annual, and then the Marvel 2-in-1 Annual, I think it was.
Yeah, and then Warlock stopped for a while, and then came back with issue number 11 to pick up the story.
Right, so that was like one of those mind blowing things when you're a kid in the 70s. Like, whoa, the story's actually continuing. That's crazy.
Yeah,
because that just didn't happen.
Yeah, because I remember the one that I'm chasing mostly right now has been through Warlock, and so you have Strange Tales that picks up Gamora and Pip the Troll and all that, and then that rolls into I think it's that rolls into Warlock. Marvel 2-in-1 Annual number 2, and then that also rolls into the Warlock just a standalone series, his solo run.
Marvel 2-in-1 came at the end of the Warlock series.
Oh, all right. So, but it's just like it all rolls into like all this different stuff, and it's just like but I like that though, just because it's like you have to kind of jump around a little bit, just because he wasn't centralized in one book, like he was kind of just spread out amongst a lot of different stuff. So
whatever Jim Starlin was on. Whatever he had done. But that's just, like I said, that just never happened. It just, usually if a book was canceled, you just never, that was just the end of the story. If a new creative team took over, like I said, they would kind of wrap up whatever old story was in 3 pages and then move on.
Yeah, it's just like.
And then with Infinity Gauntlet itself, the miniseries, like a lot of the other people in the other books weren't completely sold on the idea of them pulling some of their characters out of the title to use in this thing that they weren't quite sure was going to sell so well.
No one ever likes that.
You can use these characters, but we need to keep these X-Men, or you don't use this one. When you do your story.
Nope, and that's why they only use Cyclops and Wolverine. Just because they were just like, okay, we don't know how this is going to sell, so use these 2, and then the rest, and so that's why the rest of them are like, oh, they're off planet, or they were either off planet or they died. Like that. That's what they tried to say. And it was just like, then Infinity War comes out after, and they're just like, use them all, every single one of them. It's just like, had you given them the whole X-Men to work with,
use it, let's make a tie-in.
Well, each editor was responsible for certain, characters, so they didn't want someone else who they didn't oversee working with those characters.
That'd be great. Find my first issue for Thanos. I got my Thanos Quest number 2 here, but I have the first book 1 is called, and it's double signed by Jim Starlin and Ron Lim, and I haven't been able to find it in like 6 months. It's somewhere.
It's hiding from you in your collection.
It must be. It snapped and disappeared.
Like that was. I mean, I just look at that. Like that was just such a great story, and it's funny how they. It's just funny how they dealt with him in that way. It's just like, I like how they used him as a character, where it's just like for whatever reason, I don't know if that was a grand overarching plan or what, but they were just like, we're just gonna kind of like pepper them in, and they did it right. Not like I'll say like not like how they do like in Humans. In Humans, they kind of pep it in, and then they let long droughts go away. But for whatever reason, Thanos just seemed to have just enough just popularity that's just like, no, Thanos is back. I gotta read this book. Like, and it just seems like every time they want something huge to happen, like some type of big shift in the universe, he's involved.
Yeah,
and that's why I think that he's just that's why I love him as a villain. I think he's just super cool for that reason.
There's never an overarching plan. It's all seat of your pants.
Yep. Yeah. That's gonna be fun. I mean, fun and frustrating at the same time. Where it's just like, so I don't know what's going on, going forward. And like, I mean, I guess if you're one of those people that needs to have everything kind of like, clean and neat and just kind of see see everything straight through. I guess comics isn't for you. if you're more of a big picture type person, I guess that's kind of a better thing. Where it's just like, all right, you like order out of chaos and you can see the big picture, and it's like we're starting here and we need to get there, but how we get there in the middle, no one knows. Just have fun with it. That's pretty cool.
Jesse. Oh yeah. Another one that I read this week that I really like that was issue 2 was Death and Glory, recommender book.
Thank you for suggesting that one. That was a really good read for the first night. I had to pick up number 2.
I didn't like issue 1. I put it down.
I loved issue 1.
Yeah,
I thought it was good. I really
not get into it.
Oh, it was a good one. Like, I mean, I liked it because it had a lot of. I mean, it just seemed really like the world that she was in. They did a good job of kind of getting the reader into that world and then letting them know like not too much, but just what was going on, but not enough to be like, oh, like everything. Like it's just like I know what's going on with this girl right at this moment.
Just enough to intrigue you.
Exactly. That's why I was like, after I read number 1, I was like, all right, number 2, I'm in for this. Like, we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows? It might fall off after a couple issues and not be so good. But I mean, for now, it's very good.
Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't get into it. I just couldn't. Sometimes you read something that just doesn't. I generally like Rick Remender's writing. There was nothing wrong with the artwork, but it just didn't strike me.
That was what originally drew me to the book to begin with. Was issue 1 had like the Camaro in the background on it, and I was like, okay, I'm in. I'll check that out. What's going on with that? She's racing or something. I don't even know what's going on in this book, and it turned out completely different than what I thought it was going to be going into it. And like I said, I thought it was a good story, but it's a hard story to actually like review without spoiling. I tried to do that. I wrote a review about it this week, and it's just like it's a tough book to not give away too much because there's so many layers, especially in issue 2. There's some kind of dark, twisted stuff going on, So
I had to check that out because like issue 1 was really good, and I was really like honestly like Justin was promoting it like crazy. Like it came out and he's like, "Are you guys reading that book?" I'm like, "No, I haven't even taken a look." "Oh, you're messing up. You got to see that book." So I went to the shop this week and I saw that issue 1 had come out and they had issue 2. So like, all right, let me get issue 1, see what's going on. Still get a first print and everything. And I read it and I was like, this is really good. Like I'm actually really like surprised at how good it was. So I mean, I'm hoping that it keeps up with it. As far as like the way as good as the first one was, I hope that issue 2 is expands on that and just kind of if it takes me in a different direction, but at least leaves me just as intrigued, I'm gonna be happy.
That's good.
You get more character development. I'll say that. And
that works.
So
no spoilers. That's a good one.
Okay. I'll stop there.
Yeah. I was gonna say another story kind of reminded me of just being good and kind of like shocked me at how good it was Ice Cream Man. Have you guys read that one?
I read the first issue of that. Enjoyed it, but
yep.
Okay, let me ask you this: like first issue, what did it make you feel like you were reading a script for a TV show from the 90s or anything?
I think a little bit. It had a very Twilight Zone type feel to it, where it was just like I didn't quite know what was going on. I didn't full out understand, and I think that's just still what attracts me to it because it still has kind of a Twilight Zone feel. Like every issue is like the Ice Cream Man has been around in some way, shape, or form, but he's dealing with different people, and they're completely all unrelated at this point. I don't know if they're gonna bring it back around full circle and then it is related again.
Maybe
but,
it read like a 90s revival of a 50s Twilight Zone show.
Yeah,
Right. Like, to me, cool. It felt like, one of the first couple seasons, like an X-Files episode or something.
Yeah.
Where it was like there was still like super campy. They were trying to like figure out what the show was really going to be about still,
Yep.
So, but like that first issue had a really good feel to it. But I kind of fell off after that. I got issue 2, but that was about it.
I don't know whether it's issue 2 or 3 that it gets actually really deep at that point, just because there's there's a couple in it, and the one thing that the one theme with the Ice Cream Man is that like there's always somebody, if he's around you, something bad is happening in your life. There's something that's not so good, and that issue was really deep. It was good, but it was like, and the way they ended it, they kind of left it on a cliffhanger. You don't know what happens specifically, but it definitely kind of delved a little bit into something that you wouldn't fully expect from that book, I guess. But I mean, it's tough to say what you actually really expect, I guess. I don't know, like if you go in X-Files, Twilight Zone-ish type thing, you kind of expect a self-contained story, but nothing to get like really deep. So I would recommend the first 3 issues. After that, I mean, it's kind of go at your own risk, but I think it's pretty good.
I've read the new Paper Girls too this week. I don't know if you guys have read that one.
I've never read Paper Girls. Is it good?
It's enjoyable. Talk about a book that's gone in directions I never expected it to go. Because it seemed to me to be sort of a slice of life book. I thought it was going to be. Who is it? Cliff Chang on the artwork and Brian K. Vaughan.
Yes, and Matt Wilson he does the colors on it. I met him recently at a local shop and picked up the first trade of Paper Girls, but I haven't signed it yet, or I haven't read it yet. I got it signed.
And all like within the first few issues, all of a sudden there's time travel and spaceships and it's been 21 issues of nothing but crazy plot. I mean, to go over the plot of Paper Girls would be like, there's these, I think, 4 Paper Girls, and who are Paper Girls in 1988, and